Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, community builder and podcast, and we have a special podcast today, all the way from the West Coast. Catalina, we met on LinkedIn, and I really liked what I read in her bio, and I wanted her to come on the show to really introduce her and her mission and her journey with you. So, Catalina, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yes. Hello, hello. Thank you for sharing your community with me. I'm always excited to tell people about what it is that I do because I believe that if people will master their money, which I'm a money mastery
Yes.
coach, I believe we can change the entire economy.
Hmm.
That's how big it can be. So I thank you so much for having me on the show, Pete. I'm very happy that we got to connect, and here we are. So, what I do is I serve professionals
Okay.
who successful, many by all rights and means, who struggle at home with their own finances.
Hmm.
Many of the people that I meet and that I serve are successful and educated and doing great and mighty things in the workplace and in the larger community, and yet running their own financial story on something that was implemented or installed in them as a child.
Hmm.
And a lot of times that looks like I'm still broke when I'm not.
Yes.
And I get to help people untangle that wiring and recognize what has been holding them in place financially. And a lot of times it feels like spinning, and you get out of debt only to get back in it. I hear things like, I'm making more money than I've ever made,
Hmm.
and yet our debt is bigger than it's ever been. And so I have the honor of walking alongside people. And where this comes from is I had to do my own untangling, if you will,
Hmm.
and get myself to a place where I was on financial stability and strong foundation. And when I realized that truly there was nothing holding me back but myself, I
Hmm.
wanted to shout it from the rooftop. I wanted to share it with everybody. And that is how I really ended up doing that jump from corporate and nonprofit leadership into becoming a one-on-one coach, a trainer and speaker on this money topic.
I love coaches because I think the world needs a lot more coaches.
Mhm.
I know growing up, my parents were did a great job, but money was never discussed. It wasn't until later in life that I started figuring out these things. Like, you hear money doesn't grow on trees and all that kind of
I,
stuff. That is
what do
good.
you think? I'm made of money?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. But
Yep.
I was listening to a video or a podcast, and they were talking about high net worth doctors are the worst of managing their money because a lot of people don't approach them because they have a higher
Mhm.
level in society, so they don't get the normal coaching or mentor or
Mhm.
people pouring into them. They make a lot of money, but they spend a lot of money and they don't manage it. Do you find that besides doctors that you're seeing high net worth people that just don't know how to kind of navigate that journey?
Absolutely. One of the biggest areas that I have found that I coach on is getting rid of student debt,
Hmm.
big student debt. And it's those education, those degrees that are very, very costly. And then you accomplish the degree and you go into the workplace, and then now you have a title behind your name. You maybe have letters behind your name, and maybe you are a physician, a medical doctor, or even educational doctor. And you have a lifestyle that you've created in your head, that now I'm this and now I have to live this way. And people also put these pressures on you. And if you grew up in the home like you or I did, where there was some scarcity, maybe some lack, some statements that are not helpful, still running the program in our mind,
Hmm.
then yes, absolutely. I have had professionals that earn more than I have ever earned, looking to me to help them conquer that battle. And again, some of them are carrying big, big, heavy budget loads at work,
Yes.
and they're doing it superb,
Hmm.
not at home. And so, yes, I agree. I have seen that. I heard a statistic a couple weeks ago, and I still haven't checked it, but
Hmm.
it said the of income earners of 500,000 and above, 47% are living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
I haven't fact checked it,
Yeah.
but I do
It wouldn't
believe
surprise me. It would not surprise
it.
me.
Yeah,
Not.
it didn't surprise me either, because this is what I see. This is a lot of times who is coming to me, and sometimes it's the spouse that is coming to me and saying, "We just need help."
Yeah.
And or they're working longer, and you mentioned it, we see physicians working way past the normal retirement age,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And we appreciate the wisdom, we appreciate their decades of knowledge, but you have to wonder, why are you still running the emergency department or whatever it is, right? Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, my two girls, I remember, they had, some of them had, both of them had Hope scholarships, so they had some financial help, but
Hmm.
there was that other piece of the education that was financed. And it was like they hand it out like it's candy. I mean, it's like, hey, yeah, you take it, take all you want. It wasn't until after, when you saw the interest, like 8% on all that
Hmm.
money starts compounding. And then it's kind of like you start out behind the eight ball, and
You
now
do.
you're really starting to, you get very lulled into how easy it is to borrow, but how difficult it is to pay off, because that interest doesn't go away. It just keeps compounding. What?
Yeah, and you mentioned something also that is, most of us were not raised by parents who were able or in a place to give us that money education,
Yes. Yes.
right? And so we copied what we saw, and we live in a society where from the moment we wake up, something, buy this will change your world, it's everywhere, and buy now pay later. And I've learned from clients that there are some creative ways to borrow money, and not healthy long term.
Yeah.
And so it's we live in a society that works to keep us in that bondage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compound interest and compounding is the most beautiful thing. And I now understand it
Mhm.
after a number of years not really understanding it. What do you think that myth, why isn't it taught at a younger age? And do you see it changing at all in the school system, or when you're young?
I hear a lot of now, I hear different school districts saying that they do have programs where they're partnering with banks to teach.
Isn't that like partnering with the hen is in the hen house, or something, like whatever that saying is?
Yes. So they're partnering with these organizations who have made billions off of keeping us in debt. And
Yes.
I think that is the key right there. It's we don't live in a society that they don't benefit if we're paying cash for everything. If
Hmm.
we're not borrowing, we're not making the banks and the other organizations rich.
Yes.
And so it's a I think it's a lopsided or upside down economy when that's where you're banking on getting rich from, is from the
Mhm.
me and you, and keeping us in a place where, and benefiting off the fact that nobody taught us this stuff, that it wasn't in our homes. And, it wasn't until later that my parents started figuring out how to use the compound interest to their favor. And they started small. They started with CDs because that's safe.
Mhm.
And it was many years ago now. And they would, they ended up where they almost had CDs maturing every month because they were afraid that the day we need money, we don't need it to be tied up. And so that was that was the best they knew how to grow their money. They really didn't know anything else. And a few years ago, I lost my dad about 5.5 years ago. And very shortly before he passed away, he got to a place where he finally trusted me and said, Kathy, I need your help. The bank isn't paying me anything. And I had for years been telling him, I earned 12%, I earned 18%, or whatever, my percentage at the end of the year was. And sometimes he would say, I don't believe it. So I finally got smart and started showing my statements. And that's when he said, oh, there's real money out there.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the thing, people just they don't know how to manage that, and it can be risky. I would never suggest somebody dive into some high risk product or yield, or you got to be really cautious
Yes.
and get the information, and the information isn't always readily available.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, AI has helped me a lot. I can get answers fairly quickly, and I can run patterns and scenarios on things that I never was able to do. And I believe in just that compounding effect, a little bit, just taking a percentage. I have a small position in Bitcoin, and I have
Mhm.
300 taken out every month, just just to be able to be aware of how the world is changing. What as a financial person, what's your thoughts on a digital currency like Bitcoin?
I don't understand it, so I don't play with it. And
Okay.
and that's my philosophy.
Yes,
And
I totally.
if I
Yes.
don't and I don't right now, I don't have the brain space to
Yes.
go, and I don't really have the need to go and learn it.
Mhm.
And I'm not against it. I know that for some people it's done wonders and they've been able to make big money, and then you can also lose big money.
Yeah.
And so that's really the depth of my understanding of these other types of currency. I stick with ETFs today
Mhm.
because there was a time when I was addicted to the stock market, and I don't have time for that either for many years now. So I pick ETFs that I trust, and
Mhm.
I don't have the need to check them regularly or daily, I guess. And I don't get concerned on the days where there is a dip in the market. I know it's coming back, it always has.
Yeah.
And that's just how I manage my money today. So you're far ahead of I am. I
Well,
wouldn't know how to use AI to point me in the right direction. I honestly don't even know where to get the information. So maybe you can share with some of the listeners how it is that you have
yeah,
been able to really learn that. I don't know that world.
I think you said something really wise. I don't do anything I don't understand. You know, I remember when Apple and Google started Amazon, and
Mhm.
people that believed in what they were doing invested in them, and they got to know them, and they got to understand it. I've
Mhm.
done the same with Tesla. I've done the same. I understand more about Bitcoin than I did a couple years ago, and I'm in a community where I can ask those questions. But I always believe, do what you believe in. And I bought a Tesla, I don't know, 5 months ago,
Mhm.
and it absolutely set me free. I mean,
That's what I'm hearing.
most amazing thing. I rented one from a buddy of mine, and it was a cyber truck because he didn't have his other two available. But I took my granddaughters on dates, and we went all around. We had the best time ever talking with each other. And because I didn't drive at night because I had a stroke, and lights and sound I was very sensitive to it. So I was limited on where I could go driving. But then when I got in this, I mean, it's as big as a tank. I had confidence driving down the road without it driving. And then I went out and said, this is crazy. I can actually get around. And now my family, they took it up to Greensboro, which is about a 6-hour drive. My daughter raises King St. Charles puppies, and she was picking up one up there, but they took it. It was a 6-hour drive up, 6 hours back, and it's a piece of cake. I went to Naples, 12 hours. I got home with all kinds of energy because you just don't believe how much we have to think when we're driving, because people are distracted. They're on their phone. They're not paying attention. They're road rage. They're all so. But I've had it for the last 2 days. I've had the Acura, and I had to go back to it. I was going, oh my God. It's like,
this is archaic.
when you're like waiting for that connection on the computer, and it was like so painful because it was so slow, but we didn't know any different. And once you know the difference, it's like, I got a glimpse of the future. So I do whatever I believe in, I research, I go after it, I understand it. But if I don't believe in it and I don't know it, I don't touch it. So what do you think when it comes to when you made that transition from nonprofit, you have a regular paycheck and you're stepping out into the world of finance, coaching, and working on your own? What was that first year like? Because it seems like that's a difficult mindset to really understand, because you're not getting a paycheck unless you create value. What was it like?
Okay, so maybe I'm a cheater, but what I did was I I built the business while I did have a daytime job.
Good. I was hoping. I love that. I always tell people side gigs,
Yeah,
do what you
yeah.
like. Yes. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
so what I did was I knew I couldn't build the business with the role and the responsibility that I've carried for decades. And so I went after a job that I thought I could get and do
Mhm.
and build the business. So I I went for a school district, and in the process gained another pension. Hello.
Oh,
So, so
that
working for
brilliant.
a school district, my day is over at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I diligently, consistently, intentionally spent evenings coaching and building strong that foundation. I believe in a very strong foundation. I think you pour the cement before you build
Yes.
anything on top of it.
Yes.
And so I say I cheated, but I think that, I'm raising kids. Now they're young adults, but at the time had teenagers, and that gave us a cushion of medical insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And so steep pay cut, yes. So there was definitely adjustment, and it causes me to do the drive even further, right? Like I will go to bat. Today I was on a call with a gentleman from Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking for money coaching. And we had an amazing conversation. And so you just go you just go as far and wide as you can
Yes.
and add value everywhere I can. And that value then eventually started really coming in and paying me back. So, give top value away, and then watch it roll back in different ways than where you give it.
Yes.
That's life, right? We don't know where it will come from, but
Yep.
we trust that as we do the right thing, then we are in return, we are blessed in that way.
That is beautiful. I mean, it's funny, crazy. I was having a conversation with he's probably early 30s, maybe 30. And he's got two young kids. He's got a 9 to 5, and he wants to open a coffee shop. And I said to him, keep your 9 to 5, but do something that you love. And he loves coffee. He just loves all the different brews. I said, you can make a business of that, but it's got to be something you love to do, because you're going to be tired. You got kids to raise and you have the family to feed. So keep your 9 to 5, keep that income coming in, but do something that when you're dead tired, you still can do it, because you can build it up. With AI, with all the different tools, it's never been better to have a side business than ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I learned this from my father, and I caught it more than he taught it, is that I never wanted my employer to be responsibility for my financial wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's always been a side something. I just never turned the side something into the predominant until now. Yeah,
That is
I
beautiful.
just I didn't want to be anybody's hostage. I didn't
Yeah.
want to be held
Yeah.
in a bondage. And when something wasn't right, if I had leadership I wasn't buying into, or I saw some unethical things going on, whatever the situation, more stress than I cared for, I would recognize it. Okay, so this season is about to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to have that resiliency and confidence that would allow me to go and create a new path. So I already sort of had that inside of me that, okay, well, I'm responsible for
Yes.
me and my financial future. And
That is so wise, because, when you have that, you never know. Because my daughter worked for a financial company, big one. And I kind of was talking to her. She's a recruiter, and she would recruit. First, she did medical for a number of years, and then she moved out to Phoenix and had to kind of look at other options. And so she became a financial recruiter, finding the people. But I said, these older companies are going to go through such drastic change that the industry they don't know what the number is, but they know that they're going to be rapidly changing. So, think about looking at other things, because you just have to protect yourself with kids and with a family. But I think that what you just shared is so good for people to understand. You want to have that leverage. You want to be not at the mercy where you have to. I ran into a guy at the gym, and we haven't seen each other for a few years. We worked at the same company, and he was talking about he retired a couple years before 65. So his Cobra is like $2,500 a month. And it's like, whoa, it was an eye opener how much health was. But what he said was he had a dialogue with his boss, and the guy, he's been there a number of years. He knows what to do. But a new person comes in there trying to tell him what to do and say, you got to do it this way. And he just is real honest, because he always had side gigs. He would always had a restaurant gig, a wine gig, and it gave him that confidence that, look, I'm going to be myself. You're not going to tell me to do something I don't believe in. But the guy leaves the room or the office and says, I wanted to say what you said in that meeting, but I feel scared that if I do, I may lose my job. And I think when people have that fear, they're not themselves. But if you have the confidence that you got something on the side, that if something happened and got laid off, you could just shift right away to that side gig. What do you think when it comes to the clients that you work with? What is there a common, have you seen common things, themes that you, it's like, oh yes, this is very similar, that people bring you when they're trying to get back on track or trying to get a track? Is there anything that you see over and over again?
Well, you mentioned fear, and uh, pretty much everybody that comes to me is feeling stuck
Mm,
and stuck in a different place, but the theme is stuck and the belief that I'm stuck, and that is gripping. And one of the things that I do early on with clients is I help them separate fact from the story they're telling themselves
mm,
about the fact,
mhm,
because most of us aren't really stuck. And when people feel stuck, it's paralyzing and you don't deliver your best. And I think what you just shared is a lesson for leadership. Yes, a lesson for us. We want to be in a position where we can stand up for ourselves, where we can go
mhm,
create another life that we're not. But the leader or the companies, the corporations that lose so many great employees, they can't retain them because they have somebody breathing down their neck. They have
mhm.
somebody who is running on fear themselves.
Yes.
Right? When you have the need to be a micromanager, when you have the need to put your thumb on somebody's neck, is it, I guess? Whatever, that comes from your own fear, your own insecurity.
Mhm,
And I think that is part of the message that you just, delivered is if companies really want to retain their employees, they need to make sure that their employees are feeling valued
mm,
and not feeling I'm here because I'm stuck. Because I have worked with clients who were in positions, I said who were in positions where they were feeling stuck. And once they were able to free their mind from the money stuckness,
mhm,
they can start to breathe and they can start to dream bigger. And I've worked with several clients where then they've been able to go just take those pegs up the ladder and redesign their entire life. But they didn't know that they had that option when is all they could think about was the debt, the debt. I'm drowning. I don't know. I'm never going to get out of this. And that language in itself is a lie.
mhm. Yes.
And so when I can help them separate and look at the number that they're talking about and look at what their actual spending is, many times many times clients come back to me and say, we'll do an exercise. I have a tool that I give clients, and it's their money list. I don't call it a budget, it's a money list, and it's to help identify the leaks. Most of us have leaks in our budget, and
Mhm,
they will many times come back to me and say, well, it says I'm supposed to have so many hundreds of dollars extra every month. Where is it? Yeah,
mhm,
I can't tell you, but let's talk about it. So when you can start to identify really what is true versus what it is that you're continually telling yourself, then you start to have some ability to see bigger and want bigger and have the courage to go after the bigger. So
mm,
that is a theme that I've seen is really go from being feeling and telling yourself that there's no out. Every time I dig myself out, something else happens, and so moving almost from victim to victor, and
mhm,
then from there you can start to see what the opportunities are and elevate. That's
mm.
something I've seen a lot.
We were talking, yes, we were talking before we started the podcast about I think it was the education in the school system.
Mhm.
How does Catalina educate herself? What do you do to keep growing? What's your personal growth look like that you might be able to share with us?
It is extensive and it is on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I I've been coaching for about 5 years and I have wanted to go back to my early on clients and just offer them some free sessions. I
Yeah.
am not the same coach at all as when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, I was teaching people how to manage their money through budgeting, through creating an emergency fund, s some basic, very important things. But I quickly learned that without changing the mindset, it wasn't going to last.
Yep.
And what I did, I started looking for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And my background is leadership, my degree is leadership. I learned that John Maxwell had a coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
He's top leader of my lifetime that I know
Yep.
of, and learned of him through my studies in college,
Yeah.
where one of the books we had to read was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Growth. I believe that's the name of the
Yes.
book. I still have my book. The
Yeah.
pages are yellow, highlighting is yellow. Can't even really read my notes anymore, but I will never get rid of that book. So when I found out he had a coaching program, I was calling them. They didn't have to pitch me. And I was saying, how do I sign up for this? So I am completely, I'm part of the mentorship program there where I just have so many resources and I continue every single week. I'm attached to learning. I'm involved with some group projects with other people who are on my side of the team and working with mentors on their side regularly on
Mm-hmm.
purpose again. And then I read a lot of books. I think reading books or
Yes.
reading in general is almost a lost art a lot of times, but the
Yep.
value in reading a good book with solid principles will open your mind and it's something you can go back to and back to. So for me, I am a lifelong learner
Mm-hmm.
and I intend to stay that way.
Oh, I love it. I've probably had at least a half a dozen John Maxwell coaches on the podcast.
Ah,
Amazing. One, I know him from a local church, and we were talking. We serve over at the high school. We pour into the high school. It's a John Maxwell program called Habitudes, and we go
yes.
over there once a month.
Hmm.
So we were just chatting, conversation before we started, and he just kind of dropped that John C. Maxwell. I said, "Man, why you tell me you were?" Because I love John Maxwell. I've read so
Yes.
many of his books. I actually, thinking for a change, I just finished for the second time. I got it
Hmm.
in 2002, I think, and that it's so timeless. I
Yes.
mean, today thinking is not, it's kind of like reading. We're not
Hmm.
doing much
Right.
thinking. We're just responding, or we're consuming TV, we're consuming TikTok videos, whatever it is, and we're not thinking, we're not reading. So I read at least 10 pages every day, and I read aloud now because I was dyslexic and reading was not my friend. But I have
Hmm.
discovered now through AI, Notebook LM, and a lot of tools, I can speed read so much better and comprehend so much better by using different educational modes like listening, video, podcasting, and it's really helped my comprehension. So what's your favorite book? If you had to recommend a book to our audience, what's one that you would say, this is my favorite?
Well, the book I'm reading right now is always my favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I know what you say.
the book I'm in the close to the middle of is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind
Oh yeah,
by T. Harvey.
Eckerd,
Eh,
Eckerd.
thank you. I was gonna
Yeah,
mess his last name up.
yes,
It is fascinating. and it
Yes.
gives you
Yes.
practical tools, and just it's so great. I So many books constantly. Sometimes I'm in more than one book.
Yeah.
I just finished John Maxwell's newest book, which is Return on Failure, and I took the youth in my family through a master class on
Ooh.
that book, and I got to
What was it
hear
again? Called,
what I'm sorry,
what was the title of that book?
Return on Failure.
Return. Okay.
Yeah, it's his newest book, and uh, I just messed up my. I do have it here with me. I
Yeah.
can show it to you.
Yes.
Um, One of the babies tore
Okay.
off my cover, but but that's the book.
That's
So
beautiful.
I took the youth in my family through this book,
Mm-hmm.
and we met once a week, and we went through the chapters. And when I say the youth, they range from about 21 to, I believe the ones that participated may have been in early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And so they found so much value. I heard from, the different ones and the different conversations, and they would say, "Oh, well, this was most impactful for me. And I really saw myself over here." And I believe they will all take bigger and bolder steps,
Yes.
recognizing that failure is not, it's not forever. And it's not really failure if you're on your way to succeeding.
So true.
So that is probably also on my list of favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But I, I can, books are definitely something where I spend a lot of time learning, and I'm careful what it is that I'm consuming. I don't
Yes.
drive in the car and listen to the fun music that I used to. Now it's more exciting for me to hear some words of wisdom from a
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
And
That
yes,
is so
so
true. Yeah.
mm,
I kind of, there, I do a talk on the four human drivers, and aliveness,
mm,
personal, let's see, aliveness, connections, relationships, meaningful purpose, and personal growth is the fourth one. And it's noted that when you retire, if you do not continue with personal growth, your relationships, and have a purpose, you die 2 years after retirement.
oh my gosh.
Like, it's so important that we keep growing, we keep challenging ourselves.
Mhm.
So how do you challenge yourself? Like, what do you do that really kind of levels up your day or your week or your month?
I sometimes take big uncomfortable steps.
Hmm.
So, right? You want to expand your comfort zone.
Yes.
And that is because everything that we're looking to accomplish is outside of that comfort zone.
Yes.
Or we would have already, and so would everyone else have
Yes.
accomplished it.
Yes.
And so I do stretch on purpose. I enter into conversations sometimes with people where I don't know where the conversation's going to land.
Yeah.
Hello, Pete.
Yes. I love it. I love
And I do it with excitement. I do it with anticipation. And I figure the more people that I meet, the more people that are in my circle, then the more people I can add value to.
it. Yes.
Not knowing how it's going to land,
Yep.
but that I'm taking those steps forward. One of the things we regularly hear through the
Mhm.
Maxwell program that we have access to is Chris Robinson is one of his top leaders,
Mhm.
and he regularly tells us learn a little, do a little. Learn a
Mm.
little, do a little. So that's it.
Yeah.
As I'm reading, as I'm hearing things, and my brain says, "Oh, we can do that." Then it's okay, let's figure out the how and the who and the when, and sometimes we don't know all of those answers, but we
Mhm.
do a little. We do a little. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, that action part of, like, taking what you learn, if you just consume information and don't apply it, it's just, you know, it can get noisy
Mhm.
up there. I before my stroke, I never journaled. I mean, I had like zero, maybe one with some things, but I have probably over at least over 20 filled up journals, and I journal every day, and it's the way I think. Do you do any journaling? Has that helped you in your personal growth?
Yes, I refer to it a lot of times as a thought download where
Hmm.
I'm just spewing on paper.
Yes.
Because there have been, and I believe it also, there have been studies that show that if we can get all of the noise, as you described it, out of our head and onto paper, then we can look at it objectively.
Yes.
We can see the thought for
Yes.
nothing more than a thought, and it's harmless. But
Yes.
when we allow it to continue and guide the conversation, and then we're acting on that thought that we almost didn't even hear. So the
Hmm.
value of getting stuff on paper is just so, so big. And I've heard, and I don't really know, I hear a lot of things, but
Hmm.
it's Bill Tracy, I believe it was, who said that writing on a yellow pad does something to, I don't write
The
on a yellow
brain
pad.
or something.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
somehow that it really triggers and
Yes.
opens up. And I have tried writing on a yellow pad, but I just don't like yellow pads. But
Yeah, because I've heard similar things. I have just different books like this one, and I have a
yes,
big one. I'm
yes.
in kind of a similar coaching. I'm Brendan Bouchard is the
Oh, yes,
person
yes,
I'm with. So, him and John Maxwell are two titans in the
yes,
industry, and
yes.
they've done so much to pour into coaches
Hmm.
because we just need so many more
Yes,
people to invest in themselves. Because
yes.
I always say, when I learn something, I try to teach it and I'll do a video on it and I'll put
Hmm.
just so I can just get more out of it and
Hmm.
walk it through.
Yeah.
And I had a person, are you familiar with whisper flow?
No.
So maybe it affects me a little bit more than others because I'm dyslexic and I could misspell half the words in a sentence. But I push two keys on my Mac and speak. And so if I'm saying, remember to call Catalina back on Tuesday, no, I made Wednesday, call her back. No, send her an email. It corrects all of that and gives you the outcome. So it's naturally how you talk. And so you're not typing, which typing doesn't do anything for the brain.
No.
It's that writing and speaking that the brain responds to. Now, I used to, because I was a one-handed
Hmm.
typer. Now I feel like I've been freed up to be more expressive on emails, on writing, and just doing it through this. It's a combination of AI and voice to text, but it's so good because it's in our own voice and it just allows us to express ourselves.
I don't know that tool, but I very much like the sound of it. And when you first started describing it, I thought, what an amazing brainstorming tool.
Yes.
I could imagine, we circle and spin when we're brainstorming to get to the higher
Yes.
level thinking. And
Yes.
that would be, I will look into that. I'm not familiar with it
I'll
yet.
send you. I have your email. I'll send you
Yes,
one. I
that
think
would be
they
great.
give like me 30 days and you 30 days. There's
Uh,
something that they have.
uh-huh.
But it came from a friend of mine. And once
Hmm.
I tried it one time, I was like, oh
Sold.
my gosh, now I can express myself.
Hmm.
Because it does give you, if you want to put bullets, it just formats it like
Mm,
you want it. And it words that you commonly use, it helps you move faster, but more thoughtful. And I think when we think about our mindset, in which we talked about,
mhm.
so much is right up here and between the ears. And if we can work on that as hard as we work on anything else, we're going to be so much better off. What
Yes.
one question, and I want you to tell our viewers how can they get a hold of you. When you hear the word consumption versus creating, we have been consuming like 4 hours of TV and like 2.5 hours of TikTok videos,
Mhm.
and we're born to create. Do you find what kind of fulfillment do you find when you're in that creative mode? When you're there just by yourself and maybe quiet and you're creating. What does that do for your mindset?
I never thought I was creative, and yet I know we were all created. So
Mhm,
I must be creative somehow. And I recognize that what I do with my work is creative.
mhm,
I am creating. Not creating an art piece. I'm creating sometimes workbooks or webinars or trainings.
mhm,
And I learn so much as I continue to create and evolve, because I mentioned when I started coaching, I was a money coach, and I was helping people get out of debt. And again, I said build their emergency fund and figure out, how am I still going to go on vacation while I'm paying off the student loans. And I learned very, very quickly that I needed more. And so I went and I learned more so that I could create a format and a journey so that I could meet my clients where they were and
mm,
continue to move them forward. And for me, I think it's just amazing how sometimes I'll be working on something and calling myself a money mastery coach. That's maybe 6 months that I recognize that people thought I was a financial planner or advisor.
mhm,
And instead of me continually explaining that's not what a money coach is,
mhm,
I came up with, and that was through creating. And then it was pretty recently where I realized very strongly that mastering your money is self leadership,
mhm,
and it ties very well into the Maxwell program and that I've been
mhm,
in now for several years. But so it allows me, as I'm creating, I am growing, and
mm.
I think that we should all create something.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I could actually talk to you all night. I mean, it's like I
Mhm.
love the subject and I love just how you've shared with our community so much about your journey, and thank you for that. Tell our viewers how can they get more of Catalina?
Yeah, so you and I met on LinkedIn, so I'm very active on LinkedIn, and that is a great place to find me. My
Okay.
business name is Desired Outcomes Coaching.
Okay.
And again, my name, Catalina Salazar. So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And my email address, I will give that out to your viewers, if that's
That'd
okay.
be great.
It is DOC
Okay.
at Catalina-Salazar.com. And
Awesome.
and the DOC is Desired Outcomes Coaching.
I love
So
it. We got to
yes.
have outcomes because that's what we do. Um,
Mhm.
we'll put for our viewers, we'll put those links in the show notes,
Oh,
and
okay.
Orlando will reach out to you so we can get that. It'll be live in
Okay.
less than a week, so
Okay.
we know
Okay.
that they'll be able to get that. But tell our viewers, like, what is the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
We didn't actually say this, but money problems are normally not an income problem.
Mm,
They are a lot of times something deeper,
mm,
that is a story that we did touch on this, that was installed in you. It was sort of hardwired in you before you had the ability to sort out what is and isn't true. And not being able to have new shoes to go to school. or not being able to go out to the ice cream truck when the whole neighborhood is rushing out to the ice cream truck. And then you create this internal dialogue of maybe I can't have it because I don't deserve it. And or we're just broke, and or I'm raised by a single mother, and single mothers are always broke, or whatever it is, right? And so to really, I would love for them to just evaluate their own story and take a look at it and say, is that true for me today?
That is so good. Catalina, thank you so much for spending time with my community and sharing your journey. We appreciate you very much. And thank you for all that you shared on this podcast.
Thank you.